Brad Van Meter is a proud sponsor from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Brad offers great State Farm insurance in his office out in Des Moines. Call 515-256-6480 or visit bradvanmeter.com, or you can take a visit to him at Fleur Drive in Des Moines for all of your insurance needs. That's 515-256-6480. We thank Brad for his continued support of our show. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was quite an experience. Man, what a game. Not going to be negative tonight. That's a loss, but that's about as quality of a loss as you're going to get in college basketball this year, I believe. Iowa fought hard, played great defensively, and had stretches of effective offense, but just came up short tonight. Let's get our score banner up again. At the hands of number 4 ranked Iowa State in rowdy Hilton Coliseum tonight, 66-62. Just have to take a deep breath. After a game like that, after a finish like that, Iowa took a 33-25 lead into halftime and had as big as a 13-point lead midway through the first half. Playing great, hitting shots, attacking the basket, really sharp defensively. And, I mean, you knew that wasn't necessarily going to continue. They weren't going to go to Hilton and blow this Iowa State team out by any means. But, man, just really impressive first half. Really impressive run in those first 15 minutes. And momentum started to change just a bit towards the end of that first half. And then beginning the second half was all Cyclones. Iowa State goes on a 21-3 run to flip the game on its head. And that was really the difference in the game, that 18-point run. If you take that run out, which obviously you can't, but outside of that 18-point advantage that Iowa State held during that time period, it was Iowa plus 14 the rest of the way, but just not quite enough to get home. Man, so much to talk about here. I'm going to hit our RTI Threads player of the game real quick and our Big Groves big play of the day, just to make sure that we've got one of them in. And then we will talk to our man on standby to break down all of these types of games that we just can't quite metabolize in the moment. Our guy, Coach Gary Close. Hopefully Corey will be joining us at some point later on. He is on his way back. If you saw any social media posts, Corey was in the student section at Hilton Coliseum this evening, because I'm sure there's no place that Corey would rather be than hostile student section at Hilton. But hopefully he'll join us here in just a moment. So RTI Threads player of the game. Thanks to RTI again for their support of our show. I went with Tavion Banks. I think you could have gone with Cam as well. Could have gone a couple different directions with this. But I went with Tavion. Reason being, I think he personified what got Iowa in the lead in this game, and maybe some of the reasons why they lost it. Attacking the basket in the first half, he was 5 of 9 from the field, really unafraid to get into the teeth of the Cyclone defense. And during that 21-3 run, I thought, and again, we'll talk to Coach Close here in just a moment, but I thought that was one of the biggest things that went away was Iowa just got a little bit not soft necessarily, but lacked aggression on offense, coming downhill towards the basket. And Tavion was a big part of that in the first half and didn't necessarily continue in the second half, but still a really impressive game from him, impressive game inside from Cam on a night that, you maybe worry about interior defense, you worry about interior scoring. Iowa out-rebounded Iowa State in the game, actually outshot them from 2, outshot them from 3, and out-rebounded them percentage-wise. Man, just a hard one to stomach. But yeah, Cam and Tavion both up there. I went with Tavion. And then if we go to our Big Grove's big play of the day, I thought it was a no-brainer. Tate Sage's poster dunk assisted by Cale Combs. 14:48 left to go in the second half, and Tate Sage makes a beautiful backdoor cut, which got Iowa out of jail a couple of times late in shot clocks in this game. Beautiful backdoor cut. Cale Combs, who was a primary ball handler today with Bennett Sturge struggling at times, makes a great read, finds Tate for a big finish, and a great run for him as he went down and scored the next possession too. So great to see that from him. So Big Grove's big play of the day, Tate Sage dunk, and we've got our RTI Threads player of the game, Tavion Banks. And without further ado, you guys are not here for me. Let's add our man, Coach Gary Close. Coach, how you doing?
Good, Kyle. How are you?
Good. Are you loaded on the screen there? I can't see.
I can't see myself. Oh, there we
go. There we go. Let's get you in there.
Here we go.
Man, what a night. Those games are tough. You kind of go into it knowing probably not coming out with the result that we want tonight, but especially early in a tenure. I mean, I was so curious to see after Michigan State, what, little culture notes we would see, what kind of system notes we would see in a game that, is really a big test this early in a tenure. What were your thoughts on the Hawkeyes' second big road test of Ben McCollum's first season?
Yeah, they certainly handled it better than the first one, which didn't surprise me. It was you get one of those under your belt, you have a little better idea of what's coming. They got off to a terrific start, which I thought was important. Playing, as you said, playing outstanding defense, getting good shots, knocking them down, and just that little stretch at the beginning of the second half where Iowa State kind of turned it up a notch, which you expected them to do at some time. They're really good.
Yeah.
And then to Iowa's credit, they kind of regrouped and had some chances down the stretch. So I think you got to be encouraged. That's a tough place to play, and it's a real good team. And they, Iowa State had to really play well and work hard to survive.
Yeah, they really did. And, again, like you're saying there in that first half, they go on that big run. You just know that that's not going to continue for the whole game. You're not going to throw a haymaker in the first half and get a top 5 team on the road to quit, so you knew they were going to make a run back. But really the bigger takeaway I thought was the way that they responded to that. I mean, the 21-3 run, Corey can tell us here in a second when he joins, but felt like the roof was coming off that building, right? It was kind of an avalanche at that point, really, really struggling offensively. I was really proud of the way that they battled and got through that. And I think that's probably a credit to going through the experience that they went through at Michigan State.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think it's a good, there are no moral victories, but it's a good effort to build on. And I think they got to say to themselves, hey, if we can play there, then we can play anywhere in the Big Ten and compete and, make a few more plays down the stretch and get some wins.
Absolutely. What did you see early on? Obviously, Iowa got off to a hot start, making some shots. Bennett hit a couple of nice step back threes that kind of bailed them out at the end. A couple shot clocks. What got them in position to lead this game by 8 at halftime?
Yeah, well, I thought they, as you said, they played real solid defense, and I thought they did a nice job of using ball screens initially to take a little bit of the pressure off of Iowa State in terms of their aggressive pressure defense. And so they end up getting some pretty good shots and knocked them down and didn't get rushed and, played real solid at both ends and got off to a great start in a tough place. So it was very encouraging.
Yeah. And I think some of the conversations that we'd been having before this game had come to kind of fruition in that first half. Cause I think you can always tell, and you correct me if I'm wrong here, coach, but when a team's going late in the shot clock repeatedly, right, you can always kind of tell if they're scrambling or if they're just going through, as we talked about, that first and second read. And it really did look like in that first half, they were getting through that first read. They didn't get exactly what they wanted and they reset. And a lot of times on that second read, they did get what they wanted. And going through it that way, limited possessions in the first half, obviously that makes it tough once you build a lead to necessarily give it away, even if you're on the road in a tough place to play. What fell apart about their offense in the second half? I mean, the biggest thing I saw was just a lack of aggression, especially a couple minutes into that second half.
Yeah, a little bit. I think Iowa State definitely turned it up a notch. Coming off that win at Purdue, you might have kind of anticipated they might be a little slow getting out of the gates with such a big win. And I thought Iowa did a little more dribbling than they had done in the first half, and yes, with that coupled with Iowa State's pressure, they, their quality of shot dropped. I think in the first half they got to the hoop on Iowa State pretty easily. And were able to finish off a 1 foot with no problem. In the second half, the angles weren't quite as sharp and the rotations were there. And so they were forced to make tougher shots under pressure. And I think that's where their shooting percentage went down.
Welcome, Mr. Hilton.
Well, there he is.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay.
What an experience you had.
Oh, my Lord. Okay. So, weird couple of days, man. I hate that arena. I hate it. I mean, it's a great college basketball venue. Just to get this out of the way, because Gary, I'm just joining. I heard a little bit of what you said. I want to preface everything I'm about to say by acknowledging that the way Iowa played tonight should give Iowa fans optimism and good feels regarding the possibility of doing some damage this year. We know the future is bright with Ben McCollum, and once he gets more of his guys in there, better talent. But what they did tonight, as you said, competing against that team in that environment proves a lot, I think. However, let me just say this. It sucks losing the game. It doesn't matter if it's by 1 or if it's by 30. It sucks losing the game. It particularly sucks when you lead by double figures in the first half. So I'm not trying to be Mr. Negative. I'm just acknowledging I just got out of Hilton. I was the only Iowa guy in this mass student section. Don't ask me why, Gary. I'll explain later why I ended up in the student section.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess I didn't hear the outset of this, so I'll ask you the question. Maybe this will be a bit repetitive, Gary. But I thought Iowa played a complete first half. I mean, the ball was popping. Defensively, they were everywhere. I thought it was as complete of a first half as I've seen from an Iowa team in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I will challenge you on something, Gary. I don't buy the idea, because I had somebody else in the section make this comment. I don't buy the idea that Iowa State's going to be in a bit of a hangover. I don't care if you're beating the number 1 team in the country. This is a Cyhawk game. I can't buy that. So I'm saying that to defend Iowa to an extent, because I don't think Iowa State was just. Maybe they came out lackadaisical, but I also think a big part of that was the pressure Iowa put on it defensively, especially early. So what was it that was working in that first half for Iowa, offensively and defensively?
Well, like you mentioned, I think defensively they were terrific. They kept the ball in front for the most part and challenged 3-point shooters, limited them to 1 shot, didn't foul. And offensively, I thought they did a nice job of using ball screens to get their offense entered against that pressure. And they got clean looks right at the rim. I thought in the second half, Iowa State did a better job of not giving up point-blank drives and did a better job of rotating so there weren't just flat-out layups. In the first half, they were just layups that they were getting. And I think they were think I had 6 out of 7 layups to begin the game, which is, that's really impressive. And then I thought Iowa State picked it up a notch and rotated better and took those shots away, and then just kind of crawled back into it. And then it got to be a slugfest, and they had a chance going down the stretch.
This feels like the year, and I know this series was basically played in, I don't know the other sports, but the major sports were all played in Ames. This feels like the year of Iowa just couldn't get a break in any of these games.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with football. A horrible you won't remember this, Gary, but a horrible deflected pass. A great play by an Iowa defender, deflected pass, and normally a deflection ends up in the hands of the defense. It was on a 3rd and long on a critical drive late in the game when I was up, and it falls right into the arms of Iowa State tight end Ben Bramer for a first down on a 3rd and long conversion. And tonight you had a strip. I think it was Cale Combs strips the ball. I think they're down 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They're down 1, and they just can't, and it ends up in an Iowa State player's hands.
Yeah.
He passes it to a teammate for an easy layup. I mean, you just can't draw that stuff up. They get that loose ball down 1. They may win this thing. I mean, it just felt like every single game in this series this year, whether we're talking football or even the women's game last night, Iowa just couldn't get those big rebounds, those loose balls when it counted.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I agree. And I think, that's a good team they played. And so you got to be encouraged with how well they played. I mean, that's a team that beat Purdue by a bunch at their court. So, I know they're not happy with the loss, but I think they got to be encouraged with how they played and if they can keep improving what they can do down the stretch.
Infinite in the challenge.
Yeah, I was just going to hit on this, Corey. What
23 free throws for Iowa State, 5 for Iowa. Jared Jones is not an Iowa fan. As you can see, he's an Ohio State fan. He said refs were abysmal. You are usually very conservative on this show, Gary, as it relates to criticizing officials. It takes a lot for you to call the officials out. So I'll just ask you, what did you think of the officiating tonight?
It wasn't great, but I don't think it was a difference in the game. I think, as I've mentioned a few times, Iowa's got to get better scoring around the basket. They in the first half, like I said, they had out and out layups, so it didn't matter. In the second half, there were more bodies in there, and that's when they kind of went back to their difficult shots around the rim. And a lot of times, those don't get called. And in some cases, you get fouled and they don't get called. You just got to make a more aggressive, solid play. But that was obviously a big reason why they won the game. I mean, without discrepancy in that tight a game, that's huge. But I didn't think it was horrendous. But
I mean, couldn't you say it was the difference in the game, though?
Oh yeah, it was. There's no doubt.
So I mean, I'm not saying it would. I actually didn't think officiating was that big of a deal until late. And I said it in the first half. I said it to everybody on the Discord. Well, maybe I didn't. Maybe I said it to a buddy of mine, but I got proof of it. I said this game's going to be more tightly officiated in the second half. And I don't know what was the final foul count in the second half, Kyle? I looked up with like 5 minutes to go. It was already at 17 total.
It was,
That's it
was 19 to 11. Yeah.
And how many? 19 to 11. So we're looking at 30. You're saying in the total or for the second half?
No, that's total. So I'm not sure what it was at halftime. I could find what it was at half. Yeah.
But I don't love it, Gary, when officials, they tend to change or adjust at halftime. Is that just to be expected as a coach?
I don't think so. I don't. Was it a huge discrepancy in the second half in terms of?
It was 11 to 8 in the second half. Iowa 11 fouls. Iowa State 8.
But how was it in the first half?
In the first half, so 19 fouls called in the second. What was in the first?
No. 19 was total for the game, is what ESPN has. I've got ESPN at halftime had 8 Iowa fouls, 3 Iowa State fouls. So in the second half they had 8.
Kyle, what I want to know is total number of fouls called in the game in the first half versus total number of fouls called in the second.
They called 11 in the first half, and then they called 11 plus, so they called 19 in the second half.
I mean, that's a fairly big discrepancy. I don't know if
Can I just say too, like, not even because Corey, your point makes sense with the free throws. Obviously, that is a huge difference in a game like this. But even there was a stretch in that second half, and you can disagree with this if you want to, but I thought Bennett looked a little bit tired in the middle of that second half. There's a couple of those 3-point rotations that he did not get onto, and there was a couple Iowa State threes that came from that. That's a huge opportunity for him as well to get rest. Like if he's gonna do his thing and play 40 minutes or 38 minutes, which I mean, I guess that's what they're doing at this point because they haven't shown anything else. Like those are opportunities for him to get rest. And if they're going to go to the free throw line 5 times in a game, like I mean, that's every great player, NBA, college, all of them would tell you. Michael Jordan would tell you that. Kobe, LeBron. You drive to the basket, you get fouled, you sit on the floor for a couple extra seconds, and then you take your time getting to the line. That's how they find rest in these games. And I just thought he didn't have it for, and he showed up, big late, hit the big 3 late, but there was that stretch in the middle of second half that he did not look like himself necessarily.
Yeah, what did you think of Bennett?
I think the quickness bothered him a little bit. They're quick. I mean, he's that's why I thought in the first half with more of the ball screens to start, got their offense going, where in the second half there was less of that and a lot of dribbling, more dribbling than I think they probably would have liked. And the shot clock goes down. You got to create something, and the quality of your shot goes down a little bit. So I think the percentages were pretty significant from the first half to the second.
Unrelated, and then we're going to get to a call. But Gary, at halftime, new Iowa State football head coach Jimmy Rogers was introduced for the first time to the Cyclone crowd. And I sent it out on Twitter, of course, did not air the actual word, but he was quoted as saying, "Let's beat the effing Hawks." I'm curious, and I mean this seriously, I'm curious from a person who coached for a long, long time. Do you find that offensive? Is that something that you would like? How do you respond to that, I guess?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay. No. Why?
Because it's Bush.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not classy, and you can get up there and say the same thing and not have to swear and get the crowd riled up. But the guy that who's the guy that I saw? Oh, the guy at Michigan State did the same thing. He didn't have to swear.
There were guys that went at Signetti when he went to Indiana because he said, what did he say? Ohio State sucks. Like he didn't even curse. He just said they suck, and people were talking about that on social media, like, oh, he's so arrogant. Like, and not to mention too, Corey, you know this better than us, but on the Fox broadcast, they clearly caught several profane chants. F Iowa, F the Hawks, F Iowa. I know, but I was just a little surprised that they caught that as clearly as I mean, they held the camera on the student section as they're chanting that for like 4 seconds.
Okay, but I know there's going to be Cyclone fans that watch this and say I'm just whining. I'm just asking because it became a talking point on Twitter. I'm just saying you expect that from the students. Yeah. I think it's classless, but it's students. You can't control them. They're mobs. Okay, they are mobs, and you go up to Minnesota, they chant, "We hate Iowa," which I've never understood because we don't care about Minnesota. But regardless, as it relates to that, you got a head football coach. I know he's trying to rile up his guys and motivate the fans, but yeah, I agree with you, Gary. I just thought this is classless. I don't know what the point of having to use that word.
Can you see Kirk Ferentz doing something like that?
Well, we know the answer. And can you see Matt Campbell doing something like that?
No, probably not. No.
He just wouldn't have. So, anyways, just a side note. This is a basketball show. Let's go to our first caller. We've got Ryan, who's been here on hold for quite some time. Ryan, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you, guys.
What's up, Ryan?
Hey, Coach. How you doing?
Good.
Hey. You feel a lot better than you did after Michigan State. So, I really think this is going to be a good team. We're going to have a lot of fun. We are going to knock off some teams that, right now you probably think we shouldn't.
It's a tournament team, Ryan.
No question about it.
I just think it is.
I think I would love to just show you my text from right before the game or, even the first 5 minutes or so into halftime. I right away noticed every time we drive to the basket, we get mugged like man-yow like 3 times in the first half, nothing called. And Jefferson, after he let him take an extra step, he goes for a layup you breathe on him, and you got to call that foul. And I was calling it, and I was calling it when we were up 13 points, because you saw the pattern coming, and sure enough, they couldn't get, they wanted to get out of Ames alive, I suppose. But you cannot tell me that Iowa State, as good as they are, and they are very good, you cannot tell me that they are just so perfect that we couldn't get to the foul line once in the first half and five in the second half.
Real quick, I can tell you the guy, so T. Hink in the chat has a comment on screen here, Ryan, is the answer to your question.
I'm not looking.
Well, no, the answer, just saying.
Oh, Brooks Wells.
You don't like Brooks Wells. I know you don't like Brooks Wells.
Well, actually, I know a little bit about him. He graduated from the Crooked Courtney School of Officiating. I believe he was cum laude, so not surprised there. But, it's like you almost – I couldn't even help but wonder, does the Iowa name with some of these guys just bring a bad taste in their mouth, because
let's just
Fran wasn't the most popular guy, but he's gone.
I will say this. I think the frustrations we've had with officiating this year have primarily been in two games. One tonight at Hilton. The other was at the Breslin Center.
No, I'm going to give you a third, and I was there, Maryland.
There were a lot of calls. There were a lot of fouls called in that game.
Game was. I sat in the 11th row, right under the basket. It was ridiculous and ticky-tack as hell. Well, yeah, we won by 19, but I thought it was just ridiculous.
Again, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know Gary is not into talking about officiating. But Gary, we did the post game for Maryland, right? And we did talk about the high foul count. But you also said they got to defend a little bit better without fouling. You're just not going to get a fair whistle in the Breslin Center. That was my point in bringing that up, Ryan. Like, you're never going to get a fair call there. Izzo's going to be rocking those refs to sleep, and on the other end of this in Hilton, you're probably not going to get a fair whistle there either. And say what you want about Ben McCollum, I think he's phenomenal. He's a rookie. He's a rookie in this conference. And I know TJ Otzelberger doesn't coach in the Big Ten, but he's been around the block. I just think, yes, it was a Big Ten officiating group, but you're just not always going to get a fair whistle when you go to the best road venues in the country. I mean, the crowd, the students primarily, they just boo on every call that goes against them. Every call that goes against them. I mean, that's a normal thing when you go on the road, Gary, to have.
Yeah, it's something you might have to expect.
So, anyways.
Well, Ben McCollum may be a Big Ten rookie, and that's obvious, but he still has 4 rings. This guy's no joke. Everyone should know that.
He's not.
Coach, I also just really felt that why is Manoa out so early? I'm noticing a pattern as well where 3 minutes into the game, no matter what, he's out for a while. His minute total is always kind of maybe low 20s. He's really our only legit big, when you're talking, he's the biggest guy we had muscle-wise since Eddie Horton. Or, Reggie Evans, actually.
I remember Reggie.
Yeah, Reggie Evans. But still, I mean, you got that. He's not as good as either of those guys, but he's still a big, powerful force, and he's got a nice touch. I think we really need next year for sure. Cam is back. We need another big man to pair with him that's ready to go. Obviously, the guards, we're going to have some action there, I'm sure. But I think when you and I'm curious what your opinion is, but when you pull Cam out so quickly and put Fulgaris in, you really lose all your size.
Yeah, that could be. I I don't know. I mean, the way how they got off to that start, I don't know there was much you could complain about in terms of how they played and who he played and when he played it. Maybe they're trying to keep him out of foul trouble. They just don't want to, they just want to get him out of there before he gets some cheap fouls. I'm not sure, but boy, their start was terrific. I mean, we talked about that in the last podcast, that they had to get off to a good start, and they did. And I think it was a big reason why they stayed in the game the whole time.
What do you do? This is a question. Then if you've got one final thing, Ryan, I'm going to let you slide. But Gary, I do about the start, right? Start of the first half, start of the second half. You expect those to be consequential stretches. Now, into the first half, I thought it was a huge three made by Isaiah Howard to kind of stem the tide. But then Joshua Jefferson responded with a three that got it back down under double digits. And I thought that was big. I thought 8 versus 11 is big in that situation. And so we all knew the first few minutes of that second half were going to be monumental. And if we know it, Coach McCollum knows it, the players know it, but so does Iowa State. And my question to you is, if you're a coach, because you've been in the position, do you coach that any differently? In a situation like that, you had a great first half on the road. You figure they're going to make a push, but how do you coach your team at halftime in the first few minutes as Iowa State starts making that push?
Well, you see, when you use 2 timeouts quickly, which I really didn't have a problem with, because it could have gotten out of hand. They were definitely taking some blows, and I thought he used those timeouts wisely. I think you at halftime today, that's 20 minutes. We got 20 more to go. We just got to put that behind us, and they're going to make a run, and it's how we're going to respond to it. And they responded well. I mean, it was a tough run, but they could have easily gotten blown out of the tub. And they regrouped and made some plays and got it down to where they had a shot at winning it. And I know more, nobody wants a moral victory, but it was a good way to finish the game other than not winning it, that they played, they made a nice adjustments and made good plays to give what you want to do is have a chance to win on the road. And they had a good chance.
Very much like the women last night. These two games are almost parallels. Anything else, Ryan? Slide.
Just going to say, you knew they were going to come out blazing in the second half, and of course they did. I didn't think it would be quite – it was like a 16-0 run, I think, to start it. And then all I'm going to say about Mr. Rogers is he ain't going to enjoy the neighborhood. I think just like Matt Campbell got his, Kirk is going to give him a welcome to Kinnick moment next year. I have no doubt about it. Thank you guys for being here. Corey, I'm sorry you had to sit with all those smelly people, but
I had some Hawkeyes around me. By the way, can I just say this? Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you being here. Can I just say this? I will take credit for one thing, and I mean this seriously. I do believe I was responsible for 2 Iowa State free throw misses, and I mean that seriously.
Nice.
With all of my heart. Kyle,
don't pull your shirt off or something while they're about to shoot.
That would have the game would have stopped. But no, I mean this seriously, because that's the great thing about going on the road. Now, I was pretty docile because, I'm dancing the line of, trying to be a respectable media person, but we're also on the road. Iowa State denied me entry into this game. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be respectful, but I'll also, try to make a difference here, right? So I'm behind that basket, Iowa State's basket in that second half. And Toure has a horrible free throw stroke. It's awful. Yeah. It might be as bad as Connor McCaffrey's. But anyways, on both of them, and you go back on the Fox Sports broadcast, my guess is you could hear me on the Fox Sports broadcast.
I thought I heard. Yeah, I thought my wife. I think that was Corey.
Shut up, Gary. I'm just saying, go back. That's all I'm saying. Go back. You hear a guy. Ain't nobody else in the arena yelling that. I was behind with the students all going like this, and I just yelled, "Miss it!" And he missed it. And
I thought you were going to tell everybody that you turned around and pulled your pants down or something.
In all seriousness, I had the entire student section in front of me like turn around because I hadn't yelled the whole game. I was clapping, but and they literally turned around, and I did it later. And there was a couple other Iowa guys around me that were high fiving me. So
can we address this too, Corey? Did you look?
Looked like in the media row there was available seating. I don't know.
That's what it looked like on TV.
Man, I don't know. But all I can say is thank you to William Freeman. He donated yesterday to help my way in. I've never been denied entry into any game when requesting credentials. Now, I take full responsibility. I probably waited too long. I didn't know that I had waited too long. I also didn't expect it to be that big of an issue. I mean, it's not a national game. It's Iowa State, so there's going to be reporters on both ends. I do know that there was at least one major outlet that had 2 reporters covering the game in person today. So it is what it is. I was there. Lonnie says, Corey taking it on the chin for Iowa. Thank you. Can I just say one other thing? I had moved up to the middle mezzanine with a couple of Hawkeyes that were standing there. I had moved up to the middle mezzanine just to get out of there quickly after the game was over. And I was watching the last few plays, watched the Sturts 3 that was just ridiculous that kept them in this game late. Kind of like chit-chat Wright's shot late. I mean, it's just amazing the parallels of these games. But Joshua Jefferson goes to the line, and I did yell again. And, of course, a bunch of non-student fans look back at me like, and again, I'm not yelling anything profane. I'm not Jimmy Rogers here, right? But I was, I just yelled something about, miss it, Jeffy, or whatever. And anyways, I had this older, I'd say 60-year-old lady who looked at me and like pointed at me. She's like 4 or 5 rows down in the section, and I just waved. I book it out when that travel was called on Tate Sage. I didn't know this, but I get to the outer entrance. This woman ran me down, pats me on the back, and says, "You have a good night." Like she's showing me up. Like, man, lady, come on now. Like, calm down. Is there anything unethical about yelling during a free throw? Like, what are the entire student section does that every time the opponent's at the line? But anyways, so
I said this in Discord, Corey. You should have worn a body cam tonight.
I could have worn it. Yeah, that would have been
live stream a body cam one of these days.
Yeah, we're gonna put we got a user that we just had to block, so apologize for that, folks, for the profanity in the chat. Of course, you're gonna have some Cyclones finding their way on here, but
I've got a few kicked out already. So
Kyle, do you want to hang around with us, or do you want
to? I'm good either way. You let me know.
Okay, all right. Let's go to our next caller. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Gary Close. Who's on the line?
John from Storm Lake.
Hey, John.
Hey, thanks for taking my call here, Corey. And hi, guys. I have a few comments to make, and I have a question for Coach.
Okay. Let her rip.
First of all, I think the first 2 comments were our defense held up once again. We've got an awesome D. Our coach knows how to do that. He knows how to teach it. I love how we play help and then come back and coach or defend our guy. It's just solid. 66 points on Iowa State. Just awesome. Second point, I think McCullum was talking about the next action, and I think we got that tonight. So kind of shows you that we got a pretty damn good coach. He knows how to coach them up. They're getting better. But my question for Coach was this. It seemed like the ball would get a little stagnant out front when Sturts had the ball and 27. Toure was the guy. I mean, what can we do to rub that guy off? It just seemed like that just kills us. It killed us against Michigan State, hurt us tonight. I just wonder if we can get a better screen or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's when you play teams that are really aggressive and physical, you tend to stand around a little bit. You don't set as good as screens. You don't cut as hard, and you got to work harder. And it wears you out. And they might have gotten a little bit tired, but I thought their screening in the first half, especially early in the offense, was better than the second. I thought the second half there was a little bit more dribbling east and west, and things like that. So. But they got things to build on. That's a really good defensive team on their court, and their percentages are good. They're better in the first half than the second, but they made enough plays to win the game at both ends. The free throw discrepancy was the difference, and so like I said earlier, I think they got to be really encouraged.
Yeah, I mean, I swore I was not going to complain about the refs. I'm not going to complain about the refs.
Right. I mean,
Corey, hats off to you for going to the game and getting right in the middle of it. Way to go, bud.
Thank you for that.
He's our hero.
I was definitely uncomfortable. But I'm Gary's. Did you hear that? I'm Gary's hero. By the way,
I could have gone with you, but I didn't get my ticket.
oh well, you would have had to sit in the student section.
Gary in the student section.
I could have done that.
Nobody's safe.
Hey, John, do you know you're from Storm Lake? Do you know the McCollum family?
I know them very well. Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you supporting the show. Anything
We
else?
used to have a camp up in Storm Lake. Well, he went to camp. We had a camp up in Storm Lake, and Ben was a MVP, I think, one year.
Yeah, that
really
was
fun
back in the
camp.
late '80s, I think, or so. Yeah,
It was fun.
Ben, he was a hell of a ball player at St. Mary's. I think he graduated in '99. They just ran into a really good Newell Fonda team that year, Twin Towers down there. So Newell Fonda, started to have that rise, but Ben was a great player. We just were outsized. I'm trying to remember who was on there, but in any event, he's turned into one great coach. We've got this is another thing. I don't know if Iowa fans are truly gonna, comprehend the way Iowa plays defense, because the last time Iowa's had a defensive coach like Ben, what would you have to say? You'd have to go back to Lute, wouldn't you?
Yeah, Lou was a good defensive coach, that's for sure. No doubt.
Yeah. But, it's going to get a little – I hope that we get a little more excitement in Carver. I think it's going to help our team. I think we still have a little bit of morgue layover here from our last lull from our last couple of seasons. I hope we get it going in Carver, and I hope we get her. By the way, Storm Lake is bringing, I think, about 100 fans to the UCLA game. So
awesome.
Might be able to hear us there. So
awesome.
All right.
Let's hope that this inspires. I know winning is going to be what does it, but let's hope that a performance like this can get more butts in seats, just in general. I really hope that starts happening. It will eventually, either way, because I believe that Coach McCollum's going to get this thing done, and I think he will break the Sweet 16 drought. And it may not be this year, but it will happen eventually, and fans will get back in seats. But better sooner than later, because I do think this team, like what Gary said earlier, they can compete with Iowa State on the road like they did. They can compete with just about anybody in this league. And they don't go to Mackey, I don't think. I don't really know. They don't really have a ton of difficult road games left. Kyle, you pull up the men's basketball schedule. I think they get Michigan at home only.
There's some stuff we can go over in a little bit, but there's some very interesting analytical updates as well, Corey, that I think you'll be interested to hear. But yeah, they let's see, they go to Indiana, they go to Purdue.
They do go to Purdue. Okay,
they do go to Purdue. Yep, and then they go to their road games are Oregon. Besides those two, Oregon, Washington,
Oregon State,
Maryland, Wisconsin, Penn State, Nebraska. So
those sound all winnable. Nebraska's
Nebraska's tough, but besides that, the rest of those in the middle feel very, very doable.
Absolutely. John, anything else?
No, I appreciate the time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir.
See you, John.
All right. Ray in the chat says going to need to figure out how to get his points against elite defensive teams. So far, 0-2. Had 10 points tonight, Gary. I know you've talked about Iowa State's quickness, but is there anything else in particular that you felt made things difficult tonight for Bennett?
Well, I think the quickness was the big thing. He just, they were on him like glue. Not unlike some of those Nebraska guards on the Wisconsin guards last night, and they forced him into a rough night. So they'll make some adjustments. They'll figure things out. That's one of the beauties of non-conference games. It exposes some things that you need to work on, and I'm confident they'll figure some things out to get them better looks, take some of the pressure off.
All right, let's go back to our phone line. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Coach Gary Close. Who's on the line?
Corey, Tyler in Florida.
Hey, Tyler.
A little warmer down there.
Close. Just a bit. I can't complain. Can't complain at all. Hey, great game. Watched it finally for the first time and having a sick household, so it was good to sit down for a little while. So, couple observations. Everyone's talking about officiating. You and I have been over that pretty much every time I call, I feel like, but I actually not surprised at all that it happened. Wasn't a terrible game. Nature of officiating, ebbs and flows with the game. Physicality happens. They ramp it up. Yes, they talk about it at halftime, figure out if they need to do anything. Tighter happens. It's nature of basketball. You can't go watch any game and see ebbs and flows like that. So discrepancy does suck. And ones are always my biggest gripe, but that's going to be in any game. So I always was earn it, make them earn it. And one, don't give cheap fouls. The one on Koch was probably the worst call of the game. When arms were up, Jefferson, he actually threw his forearm into Koch, made the layup. So that's the only thing I would say was like the biggest thing on that side. From a different standpoint, though, sorry, I don't know if you want to comment.
No, I was just going
to
say that play, Gary. Do you agree that was not a good call?
Yeah, that was his hands came down a little bit at the very end, and he was a little bit turned, but I thought that was kind of weak.
Yeah, so a couple observations, though. I would say this was the most fluid the offense has ran. Gary, you alluded to it early on in the first half. The screens were hard. They would come up, make contact right away with the defender, and Howard got downhill a couple of times.
Yep.
Combs got downhill a couple of times. Sturts even did as well. A couple backdoor cuts then, which then drew defenders in. Second half, that went away. Those screens got weak. I don't know if it was fatigue. They may have to go back and look at it. And then my biggest complaint with the game, I actually think, would be the substitutions. That is one of the biggest things I see. Early on, Tate Sage didn't play very much at all and then played basically the entire second half. I don't know if that was just a game thing. I think that is the one weakness I see in McCollum right now, is figuring out substitution patterns. Who to play, how to play. Didn't know if anyone had thoughts on that.
Yeah, I that's a good question. I think Sage gave him a little bit of a boost there in the second half, and I think he kind of ran with them after a couple of really nice plays. And I think he kind of likes to do that. He kind of goes with a hot hand, with the exception of a few other guys that play all the time. So I think he's figuring out his team. It's early in the year yet, and so he's trying to figure out who can do what and when, and so I think you'll see even a little more of that until he gets a real good idea of who can give what and when.
They brought Brendan Hazen in the game briefly in that second half, and he was forced to jack a really deep three that didn't even graze the rim, and he wasn't in there that long, Gary. I can't. I disagree with you to some extent, Tyler, just because what Ben is doing is so almost unheard of, playing Bennett for 40 minutes, that I'm almost like, for me, I'm not telling you to do this, but I'm almost in a mode myself, just like shut up and let him do this until he proves that he doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, yeah, they've lost 2 on the road to really good teams and tough environments, but yeah, it's not an exact science. And sometimes, Gary, I'm guessing you would agree with this, that you look back on the box score after the fact and say, I wish I would have gotten that guy more minutes. I probably should have gotten this guy more minutes. But, man, he seems to know exactly what he's doing, because he isn't playing Brendan Hazen. He's playing Bennett Sturts every second of every game. And like Gary said, you kind of play the hot hand at times. So, yeah, maybe the tweeners like Sage and, when he inserts Howard and those guys, maybe there's – and Cale Combs obviously I thought he was good tonight, but I just thought those guys, the ball handling guards, those against Iowa State, you've got to have really solid ball handling.
No doubt.
So is Bennett's 40 minutes a game thing, Coach? Is it as rare as we're making it out to be, or do we just forget how often it happens? Because I mean, Corey, you two chime in. I don't remember anybody doing what if he does it the whole Big Ten season. I don't remember anybody else that's done this.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. I mean, you'll see guys play 38, 39 minutes, but a full 40 never going out. That's fairly rare. I'll be curious myself to see how long it goes. Obviously, he feels real comfortable, and he's done with it before. Every place he's been, he's played like that. So it's not like he's doing something he hasn't done before. But it'll be interesting to see. The question is, do you sit him 4 or 5 minutes, whatever, 2, 3, 4 minutes, and does he give you more production in 36 minutes than even, sometimes take more minutes, more production. That doesn't necessarily happen. You're taking a break, you're things like that. So it'll be one thing interesting to watch, whether he'll continue to do that or give him some blows. I know with BJ Armstrong, his senior year, he played probably 37 minutes, but before every TV timeout, we took him out for like,
I was going to say that before and after, right before
in a TV timeout. He even got to the point where he'd look up at the clock and sub himself out, and that way, he still plays 37 minutes, but he gets a blow, a longer blow at the TV timeout, and things like that. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see, but it's especially handling the ball. And I think the other kid can, because that'll wear you out. And then where it ends up wearing you out the most is two things. One, on the defensive end, you tend to take a break, and that's where you get burned. And then the second thing is you don't attack as much. You're tired and you don't attack, and you kind of settle. And I think those are kind of things you can look for.
Do you think Bennett just didn't attack enough tonight, or is that just the result of Iowa State's defense? Because it didn't seem like he was trying to get to the rim very much.
I think it was both, but I think the quickness definitely bothered him. I think they're quick. They're really good on the ball. They weren't as good on the ball in the first half as they was the second. Second half, they were really good on the ball. And instead of getting point blank drives, they were more angled and just enough to not give you a wide open layup. I guarantee you that was the emphasis at the halftime, that our defense isn't good enough, and they picked it up a little bit.
Anything else, Tyler, before we let you slide?
Yeah, the last thing I will say, props to McCollum on the one thing is he finds a weakness in game, and you can tell they exploit it. I don't feel like we've had that kind of coaching where you can see adjustments live. And the biggest adjustment to that is putting I can't remember how you pronounce his last name, Momasilovic, into the pick and roll in the second half. They were trying to go to that action constantly because they could tell it was either going to be an open three or that he was going to get put into a mismatch on the switch. We got, I think, 2 or 3 layups out of it until towards the end that they just stopped switching completely, and they were going to let Bennett go left. So it's nice to see little adjustments like that where if you find something that works, we're running it over and repeat it until you stop it. So, but otherwise, nope, that's all I got. Appreciate the time, guys. Thanks.
Tyler.
Thanks, Nicole.
Here's something interesting for you just while we're finishing up that topic, Corey. I've got 4 players in college basketball history to average 39 minutes a game or more and be All-Americans that season.
4 of them?
4 of them in college basketball history. 2 of them are Chris
Is this
Mullen.
A trivia question?
Chris Mullen and Dennis Scott are on the list, but you would know the other 2, I don't think. They're all very, very old. So
very old.
Gary,
he would be the
I'm
first.
very old, but maybe not that old.
He would be the first of the 21st century to play 39 minutes a game or more and be an All-American if he gets.
Let Gary guess the other 2.
Well, he says I don't have any chance.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you do.
What years do they play?
I've got 2 of them. Chris Mullen was in 83-84. One of them was also in 83-84.
That was Dennis Scott.
No, Dennis Scott was 89-90.
83-84. How about John Stockton?
He was on the list, but he did not make the All-American team. He was on the minutes list, but he didn't make the All-American team, which I was surprised by. Yeah. That was a really good guess. That was a really good guess, though, because he averaged 39 and a half minutes that year. John Stockton did.
What are the initials?
LW.
LW. Leon Wood.
Leon Wood.
Wow.
Very good.
Look at this.
And then let me see where the other one was. It's a little bit newer than I thought. 95-96.
95-96.
It's the most recent of the list.
What league?
His initials are KK, played in the Big East.
Big East KK.
In the mid-90s.
Mid-90s KK. What team?
Villanova.
Kerry Kittles.
Yeah, Kerry Kittles. There you go.
How about that?
There you go. So, but only 4 and none in 30 years to do this. So
how about that?
that'd be an.
We got to have him on the show more often.
That was good. That was good.
You're
Coach.
hanging out in the student section.
Yeah, that's right. Go Karat VA says, honestly, lots of missed calls, holds underneath. They let that stuff sliding. They letting that stuff sliding, letting them play. When you see Hawks getting thrown around, where do you draw the line? And then Austin 47 says there was a point in the game where it showed Sturtz messing with his thumb, maybe banged it up a little bit. Did you guys see that?
I did not.
I did not either.
No,
So,
I didn't catch it.
JSE Hawk. If this is John reached out to me. If it's John, I messaged you back on Twitter, John. You joined the Discord. Thank you for doing that, but I want to confirm that this is the same person. So, yep, you can join the Discord. Pretty simple.
Over 20 members now. So we've got a
what is the Discord? You're gonna have to fill me in on that.
It's kind of like a private server that Corey and I interact with people.
Use the term server. Gary's not going to know what that
That's where the high rollers are, huh?
When he thinks about server, he's thinking of Applebee's or.
Well, you describe it, and
I don't go to Applebee's anymore.
It's basically, just think of it like a big message board or chat amongst everybody that everybody that wants to
big exclusive group chat that of Corey's biggest fans.
Oh, okay,
that's what it is. So you'd hate it, Gary. It'd be blowing up your phone and you'd be throwing it out the window.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good to me.
All right, Lemansky. Lemansky says, shout out to the Storm Lake caller. Yes, team reminds me of those loot teams, defensively and disciplined in many aspects. In Ben I trust. Lemansky, thank you for that super chat. Mr. Positive, understandably so. Ryan says, do you remember 1988 at Ames? Is that the one where you almost threw arms?
I have no idea. That one, was I even there?
That's the one where you almost threw arms. You know how to get it. You know how to get them going, Gary.
Yeah.
All right, let's
get Ryan off of there.
Yeah, let's go back to our next comment. Next participant here. We got Tony with a brick wall. Tony, welcome.
Tony.
Hey, I don't think I want to be saying I'm one of your biggest fans. I just like to talk to other people.
Corey's?
Kyle got it. Corey,
I did. I throw stuff in there for fun, Tony. I'm trying to get at you.
I want to start with this, and I want to hope this makes it on the screen. Nope. It says lifetime contract for Ben.
Lifetime contract. Really? You're already ready for a lifetime contract?
10 games in. He's ready.
He's beat nobody in the top 25, and you're already.
He's had you've gone on 2 dates with him, and one of them went horribly.
I'm all aboard the Ben McComb train, Tony. You know that.
Funny you say that because my wife actually stood me up my first 2 dates with her, and then I ended up marrying her. So, anyway, besides that,
wow.
Coach, I asked this in the Discord, and I wanted to get it asked tonight. What is the philosophy, and I think I may have asked it before, but what's the philosophy of calling a timeout after you make a bucket?
Well, I think it's for defensive reasons. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's primarily what it is. We're going to, here's what we want to emphasize, and yeah, I know you see a lot of turnover or a lot of timeouts the other way, but I think you're seeing more and more, and I think it's more of a defensive.
Yeah, and I've noticed that, and we're just so used to Fran that he never did that. It was always, the opposite way. After a team scored, then he'd set up the offense. Where now it's the exact opposite. He's there to set up the defense.
By the way, I have the numbers if we didn't talk about this already. So some lopsided numbers. We talked about the the free throw differential for tonight. How about the run? Did you guys know what the run was? I'm sure they talked about it on Fox Sports 1. Do you know what
16-0 or something?
Yeah.
It was worse than that.
The Iowa State run?
Yeah, no, yes.
It was 21-3 was the run.
It was worse than that.
Was it?
It was 25-4. It was a 25-4 run. So it went from 33-22, Iowa up late in the first half with 1:01 to go, And I guess do the math here. Iowa scored 4 more points. So we're talking literally Iowa had 37. Iowa State was at 27. It was 47-37. I mean, that's hard to overcome, Gary, right? A run of that magnitude. I mean, it's a game of runs. We always hear that, but you're just desperately. You mentioned the 2 timeouts that Ben called there early in the second half. You're just desperately trying to stem the tide because you figure your team's going to make a run at some point, but the bigger that run grows, the more it's going to be to overcome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think they scored the first 5 or 6 minutes of the half.
Yeah.
Didn't score at all. They shut them out.
Is it fair to say droughts could be an issue with this team?
Possibly. I'm not totally convinced of that, but they lack and a lot of teams do. They lack a guy that inside they could go to and get a foul called or make a bucket right now. But that might develop.
Tony?
I have nothing but positives to take away. I wish we'd have won the game, obviously, but I think you can see improvements from what happened in East Lansing and what happened here.
Sure. 100%.
You're going to go through droughts. That's going to happen. You just don't want it to snowball. And the biggest thing is this team's going to get stops and they need it. And one bounce, like you said, that one bounce where the game was down to 1 and it looked like Iowa was going to be running the other way. And it just ricochets to a wide open layup for Iowa State.
Yeah.
Tough deal.
That's the way the cookie crumbles and the ball bounces. But I mean, that's a big difference in the game right there. And we played with them. I don't believe the letdown thing. And I don't know if that got mentioned. I don't believe there was any letdown. This is Iowa State. There was no mental letdown from those players that, they just did come off the high of beating Purdue, but I don't buy the excuse that they may say that they looked poorly in the first half because of the letdown. I don't buy that at all.
Yeah, you almost just wish, because to me it felt like I'm going back, I'm kind of reverting back, but so 37-27 and then 25-4 run by Iowa State. So those what is that, about 10 minutes of play? 40 minutes of game time. Iowa won the other 30 minutes.
Substantially.
Yeah, substantially.
Yeah.
They lost the 10 minutes, basically started the end of the first half, started the second half. They lost it by 21. But then that means they won the rest of it. My brain is fried. You guys do the math. They won.
I took the 21-3. I with just the 21-3, which I think was just the second half portion of the run, Corey. That 25-3 or 4 maybe includes the first half. But if you take 21-3 out of it, they won the rest of the game by 14.
Yeah. So it's like you can just now. That's my next question for you, Gary. Is you said you probably don't really do anything special in the halftime and in the locker room other than just say, hey, all right, we got another 20 minutes. Get back on the saddle. But my question now is kind of in response to this comment in the chat. Let's find it here. I think it says Ashley Lee says, focusing on what we can control, start of the second half. We didn't score for almost 6 minutes. So how now in hindsight, they know they lost this game in whole, in general, because of that one run.
Mm-hmm.
How can you, is there any way to specifically coach that and try to make adjustments moving forward? Or is it just a matter of trying to just...
Well, I think he did. He called those 2 quick timeouts and they eventually got the tide turned to where they could get back into the game where it could have turned into a 20 or 25 point blowout. I think they'll go back and they'll look at the tape and look at the offensive possessions and see, what was different from how they started and how they started the second half. And I think some of it was Iowa State just played better, especially on the defensive end. But I think also, as we mentioned, I think they stood around a little bit more, didn't screen as much. And that was just enough to, make the offense bog down a little bit. But they'll learn from it.
Is there any way moving forward, not in in-game stuff, but I'm saying in practice or in the film room, where you specifically address the start of the second half?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you look at the tape and maybe, you throw up a few of those clips on a couple of offensive possessions where, maybe they're standing around, maybe they're not screening, maybe they're not finishing inside like they want to, and, things like that to improve. That's why I said before, these are great games because they can expose things that you're not very good at, that bad teams don't expose. And then you don't know it until somebody does. And let's learn it now before we get deep into the Big Ten season. And they'll play teams like that play aggressive, have quick guards. And so what are they going to do to combat that? And I thought as the half went on, they got better at it.
So their Ken Palm went up tonight. Is that right, Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, analytics got better.
Yes.
All right, Tony, anything else before we let you slide?
I'll close, and this is just something that I'll close with the number. Then if Kyle wants to go in the analytics, he can. Our non-conference strength of schedule jumped 100 spots just after this game. We were in like the 330s. Now we're up to like 230 or 220 something. So those that were worried about our non-conference strength of schedule will be just fine.
And they still get Bucknell.
Yes, we haven't beaten anybody yet, but it will not be a hindrance come tournament time. It will not be a hindrance.
Well, they will.
And then I just want to hear Kyle. Oh, yeah. They'll have plenty of opportunities in the Big Ten. Plenty. So,
Tony, you need to wire yourself.
What was that?
You need to hardwire yourself in because your internet is really struggling.
Yeah.
I know. That's
if it's not any better, we're not going to let you on next time.
So, I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Tony. That's why Jess Settles doesn't come back around because his internet's
horrible.
And Gary has written me a couple of letters, has begged me on several occasions to let Jess back on, and at some point you just draw the line and say, "Look, I'm sick of it." So, anyways, Jayhawk wants a Chris Street memory. This is were there any Cyhawk memories with Chris that you can think of, Gary?
Yeah, that's a good question. Nothing that really jumps out at me.
Did you guys win with Chris against Iowa State?
Yeah, it was pretty much we win at our place and they win at their place. It was kind of back and forth. And of course, Fred Hoiberg played at that time. There were some good games. There were some good players on both teams and some good wars. And Iowa kids get even more jacked up. You got to explain it to the guys that are out of state that this is just not another game. Yeah.
They don't really have Iowa guys on this roster. This Iowa team, because he brought.
We don't, do we?
They really don't. Are any of them from Iowa? I don't believe so. Koch is the closest thing.
Well, he's Iowa.
Yeah.
He grew up on Iowa basketball. Yeah. No,
all
that's
right,
true.
We're wrapping things up. We got two more callers, and then we're going to be off and let Gary go to sleep. It's 2 hours past his bedtime.
I know. Well, sometimes you just gotta come through.
Yep. Tavion Banks is our RTI Threads player of the game.
He had some good plays.
Manyao, but I thought Tavion was really good. 14 points, 5 of 9. Boy, hit a big three in that second half, Gary.
Yep.
Moment. He struggled from outside, but not tonight. 4 rebounds for Tavion. And again, his defense on Taman Lipsey. You're playing against one of the best guards in the country.
They did a nice job on him.
Yes. And he's having to guard more guards this year than he did at Drake. And Big Grove's big play of the day, the Tate Sage dunk. I
like that kid.
Yeah, he's going to be a good one, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And that was second half kind of helped stem the tide because that was
Where's
right.
he from? Is he from Oklahoma or something?
Yes, Oklahoma.
He's
good
a freshman?
Yes, true freshman.
Oh.
True freshman.
Better get some NIL money ready for him.
True. Yeah, absolutely. But that helped stem the tide of the run. I mean, if he doesn't go dunk that ball, again, that was right on the cusp.
He was unafraid. He handled it well. It was not too big a moment for him.
I don't know if Ryan's being sarcastic here or not. He says UMass Lowell is a great team, a resume builder. I don't know I think he's being
don't believe so
sarcastic. All right. We got 2 more callers. We got Doug joining. Doug, you got a different background today. Welcome.
About time, Doug. You take a nap?
Well, I have a cat too.
Oh Lord! Look
Oh,
at
my goodness.
No, I'm trying to move the internet around because my signal isn't very good, so
You're
I'm
coming in.
trying to move the computer around a little bit. So I'm in front of the TV this time. Yeah, so yeah, I start off this is one of the tougher games for me because people in the chat are just bombarding my hometown where I grew up, and I'm one of the biggest Hawkeye fans, and it's just like Hilton sucks. People are jerks and Ames. I'm like, well, these are my neighbors and people I grew up with, so it's really hard to. I don't defend Ames, but you know, I grew up here.
You grew up in Ames?
I grew up in Ames. Yep.
And how come you're not an Iowa State fan?
For many reasons. The University Hospital, you and your teams. I met you guys in November of 1993 in a very dark time in my life when I was in the hospital. I went to the Black and Gold Blowout and met Jess Settles, Chris Kingsbury, and was a Hawk from there on. KDSM broadcast every Iowa game.
Okay.
And again, we went to Iowa City whenever a family member was sick. My grandfather, they saved him after his heart attack. There was a lot of reasons for that. We were too low class in Ames. When people talk about worst of Ames, I've dealt with a lot of trauma in Ames, so don't. I know how messed up some of these people can be, and no, I love my Hawkeye basketball. I guess somebody wanted to ask about the review with no timeouts. Do any of you know the review rules? With 2 minutes to go, there was a play where a ball went out of bounds and they looked at it.
They didn't look at it?
No, I don't think so. That's what T. Hank was saying.
Did it look like a good call or a bad call?
I thought it was 50-50. I couldn't tell watching
I couldn't
TV.
tell either.
Why are they not reviewing that, Gary?
Was it outside of 2 minutes? I tell you the truth, I don't know the rule. I know he didn't have any timeouts to challenge it.
It was inside a minute.
You know the play, Corey?
Yes, I do know the play because I moved. I know it was inside of 2 minutes because I moved and I was.
Isn't Kyle in charge of our rules?
I was middle mezzanine when that happened.
What is it? Which play are we talking about?
We're talking about, okay, when can you – it should have been reviewed, okay?
Yeah.
The 26 – you're talking about 26 seconds, right?
Yes.
Yes. Right. Okay. So I have the rule in front of me. It says while officials can still initiate video reviews on goaltending and restricted arc plays in the final 2 minutes of the game, out of bounds reviews can now only be initiated by a coach's challenge.
There we go.
Iowa did not have any timeouts left to challenge.
Oh my Lord. We are the dumbest. We are the dumbest.
I know, it's so stupid.
We are the dumbest rules makers known to mankind. These morons, excuse my
no, call them morons. Call them morons.
I'm not talking about anybody specific, but the morons that did that, they literally went to the rules book in the offseason, Gary, and they said, let's see how we can make officiating better. We're going to add the NBA style coaching challenge, except inside of 2 minutes, but we no longer are going to initiate an out of bounds review on our own at any point in the game. Is that what you're saying, Kyle? At any point in the game?
No. In the final 2 minutes of the game, out of bounds reviews can only be
times, but not in the last 2 minutes.
Yes.
Why?
So, and this is think about how many times in college and in the NBA a game has been in the final 30 seconds, and a crucial out of bounds review has been the decider of the game, and they've taken that part out. And that's a quote, by the way.
Dumbest rule I've ever heard of, Gary. Please back me up on this. That is the dumbest.
I back you up.
It's dumb.
That's horrendous. Unbelievable. And I wondered, I was yelling, why is this not being reviewed? And I figured, well, it's just obvious. But now you're telling me it wasn't obvious. And that was a huge
No, it wasn't. Yeah, and it was only because Iowa didn't have any timeouts left. So you have to have a timeout challenge.
I was a little surprised you took that last time out with 4 minutes to go. I thought,
220.
Need that one later.
220, yeah.
You took timeout 220?
220.
What was the score when that play should have been reviewed?
It was a 2 or 3 point game, right?
Yeah.
2 point game.
Okay.
Something like that.
All right. Yeah, that's unbelievable. I just want to make sure everybody who's listening understands what we're talking about. Now you can challenge. You have to have a timeout. That's normal, right? You miss the challenge, you lose your challenge for the rest of the day. If you miss the challenge, you lose a timeout. If you win the challenge, you don't lose a timeout. But what they've changed now is they're saying inside of 2 minutes, you have to be the one with a timeout to challenge an out of bounds call.
So possibly you have to
Sorry
hold.
for not wearing black. Sorry.
Well, if you, yeah, I mean this, yeah, and that's the thing that's the most dumb is if you want to be, sure that you're going to have the ability to challenge a call like that, you may have to hold a timeout all the way down to the last 30 seconds, right? When teams, and by the way, that's a time too, Coach, you know this, that teams are pressing a lot, teams are trapping a lot, like a lot of scrappy stuff happens in those times, and you're going to institute this rule. So what, I mean, do you have to hold the timeout, or do you just, I mean, Coach just called it tonight and it didn't seem like a terrible timeout. There was 2 minutes and 20 left. It was a 62-64 ball game at that point with 26 seconds to go. And then obviously Jefferson made the free throw to make it 65-62.
Thomas in the chat says the rule had been previously that it would be looked at in the last 2 minutes, but the end of games took so long. So the rule was changed. Too many reviews ruining the flow of the game. Let me just address this.
So we're going to ruin the flow of the game to get the call wrong?
Right. Hold on. So
I started.
What we're saying with
I'm gonna head to bed, guys.
we added a coach's challenge to slow the game down, just to take away the official's ability to review in the last 2 minutes. Again, stupid. Anything else, Doug? Before we let you slide.
No, I think we've kind of addressed it, but like I don't blame that 25 to whatever 4 run on bad defense. Why we just had no offense. I guess I have 2 questions. One, who's our second best offensive player after Bennett? And what do we do if Bennett's not scoring? And where is our offense going to come from? And we talk about the second action. I missed the motion offense. What could they have done in that stretch? Different, Coach. I mean, where's our offense? Who else can score? And I think
That's a real good question. I'm not sure I can answer that. The second scorer, I think it's going to be by committee. I think it could be different guys every night, and that's why he's moving guys around. I thought that, and I give Iowa State some credit for their aggressive. I thought they stood around more and dribbled a lot, east and west, and didn't attack and things like that.
That was one of my other points. Maybe it's because I'm used to Fran, different type things. Does this team dribble too much?
I think at times they do, but they do a lot of ball screens. I just didn't think they did as many and as quick as they did in the first half. I thought they were really good in the first half. One way you can take pressure off is the ball screen. And I'd have to go back and look at it, but as I was watching, I just didn't think they did as much. So it was taking them longer to get into what they were doing. And I do think they over dribbled a little bit, but pressure defense will do that to you. It'll get you dribbling too much.
Just my last point. I have them starting off 13-2. I think that they can win the next 5. I think this is a tournament team. Nothing's changed. They lost to a top 10 team on the road. I mean, that just killed Purdue. Has anything? I mean, tonight was other than losing, wasn't a deterrent at all. I was
not at all. Not at all.
No. Frankly, Doug, I take exception to the. I was going to say I take exception to the fact that he's complaining about missing the motion offense. Frankly, Doug knows I love him, but I don't want to hear about missing the motion offense because I watched Fran's last team get blown out in Hilton a couple of years ago. FBI Hawk says, agree, Coach. Nobody would attack. Too much standing around and too much dribbling. Mm-hmm. Couple comments here before we wind things down. We got one phone call that I know will be brief. Chev Yoda says that Sage poster sparked the team. Absolutely. Jeremy thought Isaiah Howard played really good defensively.
He was good.
Really good.
He's been really good. And
what year is he?
He's a redshirt freshman. Or is he a sophomore? Kyle, you look and get back to us. Tony says, same with anyone else. If you want to join, he's going to extend the offer to 3 more. So anybody that wants to join the Discord, 2 of your first 3 months will be on you. But no, I'm sorry. They will be paid for by Tony. He'll pay for the 2 of your first 3 months.
Yeah, pay for 1, get the other 2.
I like that. Iowa.
Isn't that a cool old logo?
Over there, yeah.
Yeah, vintage. So
I go way back.
He's a sophomore, by the way.
All right. I got some good young players.
Dennis, thank you for being a premium member. We really appreciate you being here. Same with Doug And Joe here in the chat says, enjoy all the shows, win or lose. Thanks. Go hit the like button. Yes, folks, please hit that like button here on
Where's
YouTube.
my like button?
Like button for Coach Close.
I'll hit it.
We do not have time to explain to you how to like
Okay.
the button. But
You
I
don't
will
think I'm computer savvy?
Well, remember that time when you had birds the whole show? Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was my golf simulator, which
I have that. I have that too now in mine, Coach Close. I get comments from people.
Yeah.
Is that birds in your golf?
Yeah, it's a nice sunny day. The birds were chirping.
Yeah.
Kyle, do you remember that show? Was that before your time?
Before my time.
We got to find that show. Anyways, I just want to tell everybody real briefly, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or Amazon, please give the show a 5-star review. A positive review does help. Please give the show a 5-star review. We got to start doing that.
How do I do that?
Again, we don't have the time. If we did, maybe we could broach the subject.
Your
I have a
presence.
Spotify account.
Your presence is enough of a contribution.
I
Coach
do.
Close.
I have a Spotify account.
You have a Spotify account. Well, maybe we can
yeah.
get you to do that at some point. So,
Yeah.
anyways, let's get to our last caller of the day. He's got the floor. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Coach Gary Close. Who's on the line?
Corey, you act like you know it's me.
I do know it's you. I recognize numbers at times, John.
Coach Close, I hate to bring this up, but what are
Uh-oh.
your thoughts on Nebraska losing or beating Wisconsin by 30
Whoa,
points
I'll
last
tell you
night?
what. I had not seen Nebraska play all year, and that was taking a team to the woodshed. Woo! They just absolutely annihilated them. After the first 5 minutes, it was all Nebraska. I was impressed. I think they're pretty good. I think they're pretty good.
And Creighton too.
I think they're pretty good. I'll be anxious to see. They go to Illinois, I think, Saturday. So that'll give you a better indication of, can they do that kind of stuff on the road? But man, oh man, they were impressive last night.
I went to the coaches show Monday night, and Bennett Sturts came in for a player interview, and I got to talk to him after his interview. And Addie Deal, if you watch her on the women's team, she throws the arm bar when they guard her real tight. And I seen Bennett do it at the Maryland game, and I asked him about it, and he said he gets tired of them constantly slapping and hacking at him. Is the Big Ten the most physical league of the conferences?
I would say it's right up there. Yeah. It's always had a reputation of that. And yeah, I would agree with that.
I've heard this team's going to knock off one of the top teams in the Big Ten. Probably you would consider Michigan State and Purdue and Michigan up there. If they were going to knock off one, who would you think they would knock off?
Well, I think they can knock off any of them, especially at home. Michigan looks unbelievable. I mean, they're just absolutely annihilating teams. You're almost worried that they're peaking too soon the way they're killing people. But I think at home they can beat any of them. Who knows, on the road they might be able to too. I think this game gives you an indication that they can play with anybody anywhere if they play like that, and hopefully keep improving.
Bart Torvik has them favored against Illinois when Illinois comes to Carver.
Yeah,
John,
not by much.
I think they'll beat Michigan in March. I agree with Gary. I think Michigan has peaked too early, and I think Ben McCollum will have his guys playing really well early March. I think that game is in March, right?
That's a hot take. Second to last game of the Big Ten season. Yep.
I think they'll win that game. Senior day, right?
Yep.
Last game for Sturts and Carver.
Yep.
John, what were you going to ask me? John?
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't. I can't find where you label on the Discord.
Okay.
Where's that? Where do you label that at?
Okay. Are you the John that messaged me on Twitter?
No, sir. I don't have Twitter.
Okay. There's another John
I don't either.
Good for you.
Hey, I just did. Okay, John, are you JSE Hawk?
No.
Okay. So how
one more strike.
How can we get you on the Discord, John? That's what you're asking?
Well, no, you said label it Discord, and I went on there and I clicked on the PayPal and I went to I seen where you put your name and all that, but I couldn't find anywhere to label it Discord.
Well, I'll tell you what, John. If you if you donate by PayPal tonight, I'll know it's you, and you don't have to label it Discord. How's that?
Okay.
Can you do that?
And we'll give you 50%.
I can do that.
Shut up, Gary.
I can do that. What Derek
Nothing, he
said?
didn't say
You
anything.
got 50% off.
Nope. He did.
Are you, Coach? Are you covered?
No,
Gary, so
I know it's expensive.
John showed up to one of our live shows. Actually, he's shown up to a couple of them, our live in-person shows. And I would have given you the cash discount, John, but you left before I could track you down.
You should start doing that, Corey. Do handouts at events, Discord handouts.
It's a good idea. So, John, you donate tonight on PayPal. I will make sure I know it's yours, and we'll get you a link.
We'll get you in.
I just need to know your email. So shoot me an email. You know my email. It's scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Just shoot me an email with your email, and you'll get a link to Discord, regardless.
Okay.
All right, John.
We'll do that. Have a good night, guys. Thank you.
See you, John.
All right. Wrapping things up here, folks. Thanks for being here. I know it's a tough – I'm probably the one that it's the hardest on. Like, of everybody, it's like I'm probably one taking it the hardest of everybody internally because I was there and I have to live here. But FBI Hawk, yes, I responded to you, and hopefully that made sense what I just explained to John. Simply donate, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. Links are all in the description. Label your donation, Discord, and then we'll get you a link to join. Roger Edwards reminding everybody to hit that like button and subscribe. Our show has been brought to you by RTI Threads, of course, by Big Grove Brewery. Big Grove Brewery is the official watch party headquarters of the Hawkeyes. Visit any of their locations across the great state of Iowa, Solon, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, Des Moines. If you live in Council Bluffs, now they got one in Omaha. It's a beautiful facility, and Big Grove is sponsoring our show once again this season. Also, as I mentioned, RTI Threads, I've got the Zach Lutmer shirt on. Still time to get these. And there's a possibility Zach could come back. He could also declare for the draft. So we'll await an announcement from Zach Lutmer. But shop the official Hawkeye apparel, player apparel at rtithreads.com. That's www.rtithreads.com. The Hawkeyes falling to the fourth-ranked Cyclones 66-64 in spite of a really valiant effort. And Iowa will live to see another day. They will face off against Western Michigan this coming Sunday. That game will tip at 2 p.m. Central Time. It will be televised on the Big Ten Network. Gary, thanks for being here, sir. Thanks for being a trooper.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I'm
Coach.
sure it would have been with a win, but we'll have plenty of wins to talk about.
We will. For Coach Gary Close, Kyle Spence, I'm Corey Brada from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Have a great night. We will talk to you soon.